What's going on, everybody? It is I, the franchise here, one half of the Royal Club Wrestling Podcast. This is going to be a very serious conversation. I've been talking about this particular subject that I will be addressing, which is obviously what everybody in the wrestling world was talking about at the end of last week, which was the Wall Street Journal reporting about Vince McMahon, the lawsuit, allegations of sex trafficking, and all of that. But there was a lot of good news that happened before this bombshell dropped. So in chronological order, I'm going to talk about the highs and the lows. Because literally it was the highs of the highs, and then we got that. So let's dive right into it. On Tuesday, January 23rd, it was reported that Monday Night Raw, the flagship show of the WWE, will be having a new home in 2025. And that's with Netflix. They announced a 10-year, $5 billion, with a B, $billion deal that will make Raw the first weekly televised program to air on Netflix. This is major. This is a major move for the WWE. We all know that the WWE have been in talks with different companies, different networks about where they will be taking Raw. SmackDown is going to the USA Network. NXT is going to the CW, I believe. And Monday Night Raw now we know is going to Netflix. And I don't know the extent of the time for SmackDown being on USA Network, but I won't be surprised if they see the success that Raw has on Netflix, that Netflix turns around and says, okay, we want SmackDown too. I won't be surprised. Even though I'm very shocked that they didn't go to Peacock and just have everything under one umbrella. Because, I believe NXT Level Up is on Peacock. So I'm just trying to, why didn't they have everything under that? But, Netflix cut that deal for $5 billion. I don't know a network or a company that would turn down $5 billion. So this is game-changing for the landscape of, as Triple H said in his press conference, sports and entertainment. There have been talks I've been seeing that they've been saying that they want to change the programming for Raw once they get over to Netflix. And me and my brother was talking about it yesterday. We were talking about it Saturday. And when we were watching the build up to the Kevin Owens Logan Paul match, and they showed when Logan Paul was in the Performance Center and Kevin Owens was there and they had that interaction, he was like, I think they mean more of this, like this type of stuff. And Triple H was alluding to other programming that was going to be on Netflix and things like that. So I can possibly see where WWE is looking, and WWE TKO is looking at Netflix, and Raw is going to be like the tester. So we may see some specials on Netflix that may not be on Peacock per se, just to see how this is going to look, how this would feel and look being on this stream service like Netflix. Will the product change per se? Will we see more realism? Maybe, more than likely. It's definitely big news. I'm excited to see what happens next year when they make this move. So we started off on that, and then we move forward to also that same day, it was announced that there was a new member of the board. Okay, the board of directors received a new member for TKO, and that man is the most electrifying man in all of sports entertainment, and that would be The Rock. Not Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And the reason why I'm saying The Rock is because in this deal, The Rock, now Dwayne Johnson now has complete ownership of the trademark name The Rock. Big news. First time it's happened where a wrestler has received their trademark for got ownership of their name. Big, very big, because we all know that, in my opinion, and this is something that I talked about on our Instagram page, I mentioned that when The Rock was on ESPN First Take and he was talking about it, and I paused it and I talked about, I got on my phone and I started doing the story, and I started thinking, and I said, could this be the reason why The Rock was gone for so long in the WWE? Because if you remember, when The Rock got into Hollywood, a lot of his movies, WWE Films had their hands in the film. Somehow, some way, their fingerprints was in the films, And I think that Rock realized, in order for him to be taken seriously as a star, and doing things on his own without having the WWE umbrella under him, he needed to either A, get the rights to his name, or B, no longer go by The Rock in Hollywood, go by Dwayne Johnson, and branch himself off away from the WWE. And I think that by him doing that, it upset certain individuals. It upset Vince. And we got that split. And now, since The Rock has got his ownership of his name and is in the business, back in the business, and is a member of the board, this is major and this is phenomenal to see, because now you have someone that's on this board that knows the business. And Triple H said it. Triple H was like, it is a great feeling to have The Rock on board with the board of directors, because now I can call him and say, this is what I'm thinking of trying to do. This is what we're thinking of trying to do. And because The Rock has the same intelligence and knows the business, he can now say, I see where you're going. I like what you're doing. Let's try doing it this way. Let's try doing it that way. And him and Triple H can collab. This picture right here, I love. I love this picture because these are like my two favorite wrestlers during their era. Okay, it was always Rock and Triple H. Yes, people love Stone Cold, but for me, it was these two. It was those two right there. It was Rock, it was Triple H. And now to see that these two are together in perfect harmony, doing this, it's great. It's what's best for business. And I know The Rock alluded to, when he was on First Take, he alluded to him versus Roman. Because Stephen A asked him, like, are we going to see you back in the ring? And Stephen A didn't say with Roman Reigns. Rock said, yeah, if me and Roman Reigns headline a WrestleMania, it will go down as the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time. I believe it. And as I said in the previous episode, and I've said in previous episodes, they don't need the Universal title. They have a bigger title, head at the table. And obviously, as I've always alluded to, The Rock has always said that he is in it for the long haul. He's in long-term booking. He doesn't want to just have one match. He wants to create a moment. And it makes me think that we can start it off SummerSlam. Second match, Royal Rumble. Third match, WrestleMania. The conclusion is at WrestleMania. You know, me and my man, who I always shout out to now, my man Thomas, you know, we both agreed that will kind of be the SummerSlam, Rumble, WrestleMania. Or you could do something like SummerSlam, maybe a Saudi event, or a Saudi event, Rumble, WrestleMania. Because Saudi is a big event. You know, they do, you know, they make it a big spectacle, and they will throw money because they don't care as long as they get, I mean, there was a running joke that the Saudi people, the Saudi government, were trying to get like Ultimate Warrior and people that had passed away to be at this event, you know, so they don't care about the money. Money means nothing to them. But I do see that we probably will potentially get Rock versus Roman. I know a lot of people thought it was going to be at WrestleMania. A lot of people thought it was going to be at Elimination Chamber. I'm glad that it's actually going to probably prolong, because Rock does need to get in shape, as we've seen when he interacted with Jinder Mahal. He was very bloated or gassed. You know, he was very not in ring shape. So Tuesday, great day. I mean, we can even go back to Monday with the announcement of 2K25 or 2K24. WWE 2K24 was announced this past Monday, and we got the cover. We got the covers. So we have the standard edition with Cody Rhodes. We have the deluxe edition with Bianca and Rhea Ripley. And then we have the 40 years of WrestleMania edition, which I believe with that one, you can relive the 40 years of WrestleMania with iconic moments and matches. Y'all know I'm a gamer, so I would definitely be getting that. We'll be pre-ordering mine relatively soon, just because I know that may by the time I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get it. Nah, it's gonna be like, you can't get cause I think that happened with me when I got 2K22, which was with Ray, and I did not get the collector's edition one because I waited till last minute. So I got the standard one, and I had to buy the season pass myself. But this one, last year I got the Deluxe Cena edition. This year I'm getting the 40 years of WrestleMania edition because I want to relive the 40 years of WrestleMania. And I just want to I want to enjoy that. I might actually even get it for my nephew too, because as I told y'all in the last episode, he's learning. He's learning the business, the wrestling world, sports entertainment. So, yeah, so probably going to do that. Now it's time that we get very much serious. Thursday. Wall Street Journal reported that a lawsuit was filed and Vince McMahon accused of sex trafficking by a former WWE employee. Now, when I read this and I seen that they attached a name and a photo of this woman, this was the same one who Vince and her agreed to an NDA. So it was very how was this out if an NDA was signed? But when you don't make payments on your NDA, now the NDA in a sense becomes null and void, and now the lawsuit is out there. So the lawsuit is out. I have the lawsuit on my phone, in my laptop. I've read all 67 pages. If you want to know, or if you have been hiding under a rock, don't worry. I will not restate any of what was said in this lawsuit because it is one of the most horrific things I've read. And I remember I was at work and I was reading it. Not the entire lawsuit. I didn't get the entire document until I got home. But the little excerpts that was floating around on the internet, the text messages that was included in the document, I was reading those things. And I just I sat back and I said, he's done. Vince McMahon is done. I looked at it and I said, there's no way that he can ever come back from this. John Laurinaitis is in there. I'm really he's been done. And then there's the WWE and former UFC heavyweight champion, who we all know who that is. And that's Brock. When you look at the timeline, if you read the document and you read the timelines, it makes sense that this is Brock. There was no other person that was in renegotiation of a contract at the time of this happening. There's no person from, I believe it was 2019, who had a David versus Goliath type of match other than Brock versus Kofi, where Vince did what he did. That was stuff that was in the document, but they have officially gave Vince McMahon what Vince McMahon gave Chris Benoit, which is the erase from history. There was a shirt that circulated around the WWE shop, which was a Vince McMahon Royal Rumble shirt that's been taken off. I believe any reference to Vince McMahon as far as video package, voice, anything has been removed. Obviously, you can't remove programming like episodes of Raw from the network or from Peacock, because he had that's literally, you would literally have to take the Attitude Era away, because he was one of the focal points. But as they had done with Benoit, they're going to do with Vince. They're not going to bring up Vince. They're not going to address Vince. Yes, they did at the press conference. A lot of people was upset about how Triple H handled it, but I want to take this time real quick to address that, because so many people, it's like they were disappointed of how Triple H responded to the question. Would y'all have rather him respond like this, looking like this, when given or when questioned about an accusation like that? And for the audience, the audio people only, what I'm referring to is Tony Khan. When Jericho had his situation that occurred, the photo that I'm showing is the photo of Tony Khan sitting there with a fucking furry hat on, with glasses, talking like, oh, AEW, we pride ourselves on having a safe environment, when your ass literally during the situation with CM Punk and Jack Perry sat on national television and said, I feared for my life. I don't know if anybody is going to be fearful of their life and at the same time say, we have a safe environment here in AEW. All while wearing a fucking furry hat and glasses, looking like a doofus. Triple H handled it as best as he could. What people need to understand is that this man, the man who Vince McMahon showed Triple H the ins and outs, became a mentor to Triple H. pretty much became his heir apparent. You don't think that this is hard on him? You don't think that he's sitting there like, I don't want to talk about this because this is my family. This is my father-in-law. This is my kid's grandfather. And y'all upset because he said, I want to focus on the positive? Y'all want to get upset because he's like, oh, I learned just like y'all did in real time. A lot of people are speculating that, hey, maybe he was a part of it. Let it be clear. Vince McMahon and Triple H, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, did not see eye to eye for a very long time. Because if y'all remember, Triple H, one, had heart surgery some time ago, was out for about damn near a year to 2 years. Before then, Vince McMahon started to just take all his pupils, his prize people, and just drag them to the ground, like demote them, fire them, do all types of stuff because he was upset because the whole AEW situation, the Wednesday Night Wars, if we want to refer to it as that, and how AEW was winning, and he took NXT, Triple H's prized possession, his baby, and just with a snap of a finger, flipped it upside down. And it's never been the same. They're now just recovering from this. They're now just regaining that audience that clamored for NXT. They're just getting that back. And they're doing that with the likes of Shawn Michaels and now William Regal. I want to talk about the approach that a lot of people have been taking about this situation. Because we have, like I said the other day, or I said Saturday, I was watching a lot of content, a lot of podcasts that was talking about this. And some people were reading the documents and were sitting there saying, you know, I don't know why I'm reading it. Like, this is sickening. This is whatever. And I'm like, then stop reading it. If you are reading this and you are getting choked up, or you are just like pausing because as you're reading it, you're just becoming sick, why are you reading this? Like I told you guys, if you guys want to know about it, it's all over the internet. You can find it. You're not getting it from me. I'm not going to reiterate what was said in those documents. One of my coworkers, it was playing at the station, and I got into the control room and I was sitting there and I was like, man, this is crazy. And they all know I'm a wrestling fan. I talk about my coworker Thomas O'Neill. He's a wrestling fan. One of my other coworkers, she's a wrestling fan. So we kind of talk about wrestling in itself. Another one of my friends, he knows about wrestling. So he, like, a lot of people know about, obviously you know about wrestling. And the morning host, I was talking to him and I said, man, this is bad. This is terrible. And he was like, I was hearing a little bit about it, but I wasn't kind of just only heard like maybe 3% of it. And he said, so what stood out? What was like the most horrific thing, or, what was that? And I said, are you sure you want to know? So I said it. I said the two things that stood out to me, which was the naming of the toys and the other one, the worst of them all. Vince will now go down as a fall from grace. He was literally, like I said before, he introduced me to my first love, which is sports entertainment, WWF at the time, WWE now. But this man, it's just, there's no words in the English language that I can come up with to summarize how I feel. Seriously. It's one of those situations where it's like learning that your hero has done something just horrific and you don't know how to process it. Like and I think that's how Triple H handled, like, he doesn't know how to process this. It's like, yo, like, I can't. Then it's everybody talking about Shane, and then they're saying that, I forgot where I seen it, but they said that's why Shane and Vince had their fallout, was because Vince tried to get Shane to be involved in this, and Shane didn't want no parts of it. Wanted absolutely no parts of this. It makes me think of all the stories of the storylines that Vince came up with that was head scratching. Like, one that stood out was one when he was apparently having a story. He proposed a storyline to Stephanie of him and Stephanie incest. What? And Stephanie was like, absolutely not. I'm not about to do what? And then there's a clip that's circulating on Twitter where Stephanie, and it's kind of like one of those art imitating life, because Stephanie said, I've had, and I remember hearing this, it was a SmackDown episode. And she's in her office yelling, like, her and Vince are talking. She's yelling and crying, talking about, you made me go through these meetings, and I sat in these meetings, and these guys had their way with me, and I did what they told me to do because you wanted me to do this, and I did it for you, and I regret it, and I'm sick to my stomach, and all this. And it's like when Twitter brought this back, it was like, yo, wow, that's really what happened. Vince really, this could be true. So a lot of people were taking these things, and I think only but one podcast, to a degree, was joking about these allegations, which is very interesting because when another person had a very similar allegations, they were very quiet. Matter of fact, they went and edited the whole podcast because of that allegation, but feel the need to make fun of these situations. And one of the people in this podcast is a wrestling fan. And that's the only reason why they brought it up was because he is a wrestling fan and he had some insight in there. And one of the things that a lot of people like this man is doing is Don Tony did the same thing, is they're alluding to the fact that there's one text message that is in the court document. There is one text message in which she responds in a way that will make people think she went for it. She was going for it. She was going for it. And it's things like this, it's times like this where we as people make it extremely difficult for victims to come out and speak. Because of situations like that. In the beginning of the lawsuit, it is stated that Vince told her, I want to give you new life. I want to provide for you a new life. When a man with that much power, a billionaire with that much power, can look a person in their face who is on their last of the last. They're at the bottom. And they tell you, I can give you the keys to your own castle and I can make you up. You can go up here. The sky is the limit, literally, like figuratively. And he presents you this opportunity. Nine out of 10 people are going to take that opportunity. So now it comes with, there's things that come along with it. I give you this, then there's all this other stuff that happens. And when those things happen, it's hard for victims to come out and say, like, yeah, because, well, there's a text thread and you sound like you were interested in it. And I guarantee you, if they take this to court, which I do believe it may happen, they're going to bring that up. Don Tony, he was bringing up why is these other people not being named? Why is it that it's only Vince McMahon's name and John Laurinaitis' name being brought up? Why is, and Don Tony brought up a valid point because he was like, if all these other people are involved in these predatorial acts and are doing these things and assaulting you, wouldn't you want others to know who these particular people are? So now they're not going to go after, they won't be victims as well. I get where he's coming at with that. This is a slippery slope to go down because, we have so many things. And this is what happens when you have situations like this where there's these lawsuits and there's this and there's that. It literally is a very slippery slope. I will continue to, obviously watch WWE. TKO announced on Friday that Vince McMahon pretty much handed in his letter of resignation. And I know that there's some people that were celebrating in joyousness that, like ding dong, the witch is dead, ding dong, Vince is no longer here and everything. But my thing is I understand Vince McMahon, the man, outside of, I can't even say outside of the WWE because he did these acts within the WWE, but he gave us a product that we are here talking about. Some of the people that were rejoiced that he was gone are the same people that sit here and do shows and create content surrounding what he has presented to us. We fell in love with the product based off of what he made, which is that. And this is not me shooting him any bail. I would never shoot Vince any bail. But it's just one of those things where it's like, he's going to get his just due. He's going to get exactly what he needs. He's going to be erased from history. And just like they did with Benoit, we don't hear people talk about Benoit anymore. We don't. I think the last time this platform talked about it was when the Ace had made reference to Butch and how for the game, they need to bring Chris Benoit back into the game. And I said, they're not going to do that. I remember there was a point in 2K that if you even typed in his name to create, I believe they wouldn't allow you to do it. Think about that. That's how severe they took that. That's how much seriousness they took what he did. And he did something that was very horrific. No one, like, I still go back and forth about that. I still go back and forth. I remember when I sat there one time and I was like, this was in my young days where I was thinking of making documentaries and things like that. And I sat there and was like, well, what if I, did one of those documentaries that was like, well, did he really? Because there was so many different videos that were out there that said he was innocent, he didn't do it, it was a setup, all types of stuff. At the end of the day, 3 people are no longer here. And it was very horrific. And the WWE does not acknowledge him. And the WWE will not acknowledge Vince. They won't. Even when he's long and gone, they're still not going to do anything. Days of him trying to get inducted in the Hall of Fame, not going to happen. It's not. His time for being inducted in the Hall of Fame came and went. A lot of people were circulating of, I know Maria Kanellis had made a reference about how she witnessed some stuff. A lot of people were bringing up the whole situation with Ashley, who, passed away. People brought up, WWE star that didn't have her contract renewed back in 2005. And I think a lot of people said that was Christy Hemme. It was a lot, is a dark day. This is a dark period, but they're moving forward, and they moved forward very swiftly. I think that they told Vince, you have to hand in your letter of resignation. We cannot have you on the board. We can't have you as the executive chairman. You have to go. We're not about to sit here and lose endorsements. The stock market's going to go down. Everything. Slim Jim backed out of their endorsement deal with them Friday morning. Saturday, they came back around because Vince McMahon handed in his letter of resignation. We will see what happens. I do believe there is no criminal charge that has been brought up on Vince right now. I think it's just all civil. I mean, it's all lawsuit. They could bring up criminal charges on him. We'll have to wait and see if that does happen. If it does and it goes to court, it's going to be a very interesting situation. But for the wrestling community, for the WWE universe, as a fan of the WWE who waves the flag, WWE's in good hands with TKO, with Nick Khan, with Triple H, with Paul Levesque. People are thinking that Stephanie's going to come back. A lot of people are speculating that's why Stephanie left, was because she kind of had an idea or knew what was going to happen, knew about this situation, and didn't want to be a part of it. A lot of people said that the people who Vince let go that was on the board were people that knew about the situation, probably the ones that leaked the situation, and Vince wanted to get rid of them. There's reports saying that the WWE needs to get rid of everyone that knew about this or is a part of Team Vince. I don't see that happening, but I do see possibly that Bruce Pritchard probably will not be there when it's time to renew his contract, because he is a Vince guy. And according to one Ronda Rousey, the WWE will still be ran through Vince through Bruce Pritchard. People are saying that's why Ronda Rousey is no longer in the WWE, because she couldn't work with Vince. A lot of WWE talent that left to go to AEW left because they didn't want to work with Vince. And now you're going to see a change of the guard, like I said. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I will not acknowledge Vince moving forward. If we do, as I said in the previous episode, I will refer to him as he who shall not be named. I will treat him similar to how I treat the Hulkster. Y'all know how I feel about Hulk Hogan. Last week was a very, daunting week. We had our highs with the Netflix deal, with The Rock being on the board, with The Rock getting his name back. And then we ended the week. We ended the work week with this. But then we kicked it back up because we had the road to WrestleMania start. We had Royal Rumble, which was a success. And now, as Triple H said, we move forward and we move on a positive note. And on that note, that is it for this installment of Wrestle Talk with the franchise. Make sure that if you are new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you do get keep so you are kept up to date when more content is dropping. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at RCW_podcast. The Ace also has his own Royal Club Instagram, which is RCW_Ace. I will be back with more content. I know it's been a minute. It's literally been a minute since I've come out with something, and honestly, that's because we had some bad weather out here, but hopefully I will be able to do more of this. Well, not even hopefully, I will be doing more of this because we're definitely getting in WrestleMania season. It's WrestleMania season. I think we're going to sit here and not put out more content and talk about all this stuff. I might just even do stuff just talking about my favorite WrestleMania moments, but thank y'all for tuning in. I will be back later with another installment of Wrestle Talk with the franchise, presented by Royal Club Wrestling Podcast. I'm out. Later.